Chiefs Kingdom, welcome back to All Chiefed Up. We're back with another podcast for that ass. And DeAndre Hopkins has shunned the Chiefs. He's going to Tennessee. Reports say Titans signing DeAndre Hopkins to a 2-year, $26 million deal worth up to $32 million in incentives. However, will the Chiefs recover, Steve, without DeAndre Hopkins? Let's talk about it.
Hey, but on a serious note, if you haven't hit that sub button yet, do that right now. 95% of our viewers aren't subscribed. We're trying to get to 20K before the end of this coming season. So do us a favor, hit that button, hit the like button, get this out to more Chiefs fans. Yeah, man, DeAndre Hopkins, he took the low road there. He went with the Tennessee Titans.
He did.
So, man, what this does is open up a bucket load of questions. Like, it's
So
very
many.
confusing. It's very confusing. So you have a guy that's towards the end of his career, but he's still playing at a high level.
Super
right?
high level.
Right, a super high level. He says that he wants to go to a team that can compete for a Super Bowl. We can uncheck that box. Okay, so
That's harsh. That's harsh.
it is what it is. But yeah, he wants to compete for a Super Bowl. He wasn't worried about the money. It was this and that. He just wants to win. There was a lot of smoke with Kansas City. Him coming to Kansas City. You saw him, tweeting back and forth with Chris
Right.
Jones. You saw them chopping it up at the fishing tournament. There was all kinds of stuff, and he even waited a really long time to sign his deal, which
did.
led everyone to believe that he was waiting on Kansas City to restructure Chris Jones and get this thing going. But then, lo and behold, right before the Chris Jones extension, this is announced.
Hey, we got to get all the egg off our face, Steve.
Yes.
We got to get it off. Because let me tell you something. At the beginning, we all said, look, we don't need DeAndre Hopkins, but it would be nice. We said that Veach and Andy Reid reached out to him, and they think we need him. Boy, it's going to be sweet if we can get him in here. But we
Right.
said it's always low. We always put the possibility as low. But here over the past few days, steam, the heat was picking up. DeAndre Hopkins was playing these Instagram tag games with Chris Jones. Chris Jones' extension was getting closer to be signed.
Right.
Everybody was letting it know he was waiting on the Chiefs. He wasn't taking these same offers that have been on the table for all this time. And, of course, once everybody starts getting a little bit excited, boom, he drops the hammer on us on a Sunday morning, and he says, no, nay, we'll go to Tennessee and play with Ryan Tannehill. That's exactly what I would have wanted to do if I wanted to win at the end of my career, is go to Tennessee and play with Ryan Tannehill.
What the hell is
Right. So
even
there's a
that?
couple different scenarios that come up here. So did the Chiefs offer him anything? Like, did they finally get to the point where Brett Veach is like, this is how much we can offer you, DeAndre? And he's like, nope, can't do that. Going to go ahead and sign with Tennessee.
Right.
Or did the Chiefs just decide not to offer him? That's another thing. Maybe Brett Veach and Andy Reid decided we don't have to have
Well-
him, so let's just not do it. And then they went ahead and told his agents, and they went ahead and signed with Tennessee. But, I mean, there's a lots of different ways to look at this, Mike. But I don't think that going to a team that threw the ball 450 times and ran the ball 500 times last year is a place where DeAndre Hopkins actually wanted to go. That was not his first choice, because all he did was sign up to be a decoy for Derrick Henry. That's what he's done.
Yeah. There's so many ways to look at it. The same way you just said. Jeremy Fowler actually come out. He said the Chiefs, including Andy Reid, kept in contact with DeAndre Hopkins' free agency. But with Chris Jones' extension still not done and minimal cap space, the Chiefs just didn't have a contract offer to even compete. That's what you said. I thought it was very telling that he says including Andy Reid. Andy Reid personally has kept in contact with DeAndre Hopkins.
Which-
They wanted DeAndre Hopkins.
That's the confusing part to me,
Right.
because it's not like there was a time limit. No one told him by this Sunday you have to pick a team,
Right.
and the Chiefs didn't have it done.
And
So
so, what
I
does
don't-
that tell you?
I
That
don't
tells
know.
you that we got two scenarios here, and we'll let Chief Kingdoms decide. Number one scenario, Chris Jones, maybe they're further apart than they thought, and they were like, look, we may not get this done. Maybe
Right.
that's scary to think about, but what if that's a possibility? And then number two, maybe they just like, look, we'd love to have you here, but we can't match that. This is what we can match you. You make your decision. And then he said, hey, look, I'm taking the money. He's going to take the money over. A lot of Chiefs Kingdom is coming out, and they're like, hey, look, he wants the money. We knew he was all about the money. That was the thing. This was the story. Chiefs Kingdom reacts to DeAndre Hopkins' contract, money over winning. That's what's
Yeah.
being reported.
Right.
But I thought it was very telling that Andy Reid was in contact with DHop here. Andy Reid just ain't out willy-nilly. You know, the last time we heard about Andy Reid talking to somebody, it was Drew Tranquil. He
Right.
was saying, think red, think Super Bowls. They wanted DHop here. But here's what I think it was. I think that Brett Veach and them were like, look, you want to come here, but we can't break the bank. We got contracts to sign. Maybe the Chris Jones, we're paying him a little more than we have to. Maybe we might not even have a timeline here yet. You're going to have to make the decision, but this is all we're going to be able to do. And then DHop said, look, I'll go to Tennessee. You said Tennessee wasn't a Super Bowl contender. A lot of people are with you. But does DHop make them a Super Bowl contender? Because to be honest, the AFC South is pretty much trash. It's them versus Jacksonville. And that's an easy way into the playoffs. And if you got a shot at getting in the playoffs, you've got a chance. But let's be honest, you ain't beating Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the playoffs. It's not happening.
That is the most confusing thing about this, is the fact that DeAndre Hopkins does nothing for the Tennessee Titans. Putting DeAndre Hopkins on a team that literally just runs the ball every chance they can get because their quarterback's not very good, that doesn't help them whatsoever. That doesn't make them any more scary. Now you've got this decoy out on the field that we know you're probably not going to use. I mean, they were slightly better when they had A.J. Brown than they were without him. But then they went and drafted Treylon Burks.
Why do you even trade A.J. Brown in that scenario? If you were sold on Tannehill and you thought you were a Super Bowl team, why trade A.J. Brown and then come back and now sign DHop, who's older and not as good as A.J. Brown?
From Tennessee's standpoint, it's them saving face on the A.J. Brown trade. Their fans have been throwing a fit ever since it happened. And then he goes to the Super Bowl last year, and he played very, very well with the Eagles. So it's them trying to save face there and be like, oh, but we got you a DHop. So it just is what it is, man. I just don't know what he really helps Tennessee do because, like I said, they're not a pass-heavy team. They like to run the ball.
Yeah.
They ran the ball. I'm sorry. They passed the ball less than every team in the NFL except for 2 last season. The only teams that had passed less than them, one of them were the Chicago Bears. And I don't even remember who the other team was. But it just is what it is. I don't think he's going to help them there. So the way I've been looking at it, man, like you said, it's one of 2 things. Like either they offered him and he didn't take their offer, or they didn't offer him at all. They come off the table. So the big question that this leaves to Chiefs Kingdom is, can Brett Veach, are they ever going to be able to get a deal done to get Patrick Mahomes a true wide receiver 1? Because right now they tried to get A.J. Brown last year. They failed. For whatever reason, A.J. Brown chose the Eagles. They failed again here with DHop. For whatever reason, he chose the Titans. Why can't they get a deal done? They've obviously shown interest.
It's money.
So what's the problem here? And if it is the money, maybe you need to play your cards a little differently. Eventually, you've got to give Patrick Mahomes an actual wide receiver 1. You can't keep expecting him to elevate everybody around him every single season.
It's money. It's money. I think what happened is they went ahead and the money they had set aside for him, they give it to Donovan Smith. I think they had to give it to Donovan Smith. I don't think their plan A hit in the draft. I really do believe they were going after Anton Harrison in round 1. They had to fall back and get the tackle. They did get Wanye, but I don't think they think Wanye's ready to play right now at a high level. He's a guy that you get in the 3rd round. He was a 3rd round pick. I think they had to fall back on Donovan Smith. They had to give more money than they probably needed to. You lost the DHop money. They're banking on DHop wanting to win. They're banking on DHop wanting to come to a place where he gets to play with a great quarterback. You thought wrong. I don't know how many times we can say it. The NFL is full of nothing but people that want money. They do not care about their legacies. If they do, the Kelceys and the Mahomes of the world, you get attacked by the media over and over again. This is what Albert Breer says. No need to overcomplicate it. DeAndre Hopkins went to the team that made him the best offer, a.k.a. the most money. That said, his relationships in Tennessee from Houston didn't hurt. He texted with Vrabel while he was on his visit to New England and has played in offensive coordinator Tim Kelly's offense. It is a good fit. It says, Breer also adds that the Chiefs essentially gave Donovan Smith the money they had earmarked for DHop after Odell Beckham changed the dynamic in the negotiations. That's exactly what I said.
Right.
I stick to it. I believe it all comes down to money. Brett Veach and the Chiefs and the fans are now all in agreement that we never have to overpay for a wide receiver. It's $6 million, $7 million a year. Patrick Mahomes can make anybody great. The luck is going to run out at some point, and Patrick Mahomes is going to be angry at some point.
Well, here's my thing, man. Do you think this is really going to be the best decision? When you look back on it, if the Chiefs were to not win the Super Bowl this coming year, do you think anyone's going to be happy that they messed around with the O-line and then paid Donovan Smith the money that you could have got DeAndre Hopkins with?
No, you should be irate over that.
Yeah, it's an absolutely ridiculous move. Like, that's one of the worst Brett Veach moves that he's had to make. I don't think he planned it. I think it all came at him a little sideways. It was
No,
like plan B, like we
this
said
is
in the
all
draft
plan
and
B.
everything.
It's plan B.
So yeah, but it definitely puts a damper on this offseason for sure, because if your big signing in the entire offseason to help improve this team while every other team's gunning for your throats in the NFL was to sign Jawan Taylor and overpay him at right tackle, then you have problems, bro. Like, that's just all there is to it. It wasn't a good offseason at all, but they've got to get this Chris Jones thing done to go ahead and at least make people feel a little bit more comfy about what's going on around here. But hey, here's what I think, though. I think DHop, in my opinion, if he was offered by the Chiefs and he chose to go to the Titans, I think he's just taking the easy way out. To me, it's almost like an early retirement plan. You're going to go to a team that's not going to use you very much. You have built-in excuses if you don't perform.
Right.
Because you can say, well, they don't pass the ball. They literally handed it to Derrick Henry every play. Or, hey, my quarterback's Ryan Tannehill.
Right.
Or, hey, my quarterback was Ryan Tannehill and they had to put in a rookie or Malik Willis. Like, he's got so many excuses. I think he's just going to ride this money out into early retirement. But it's very, very disappointing for a guy that's had a career like DHop, a Hall of Fame career, to just sulk in mediocrity. It makes no sense to me.
Nobody but Titans fans and the Titans organization think that they're a Super Bowl contender. Nobody thinks that he's going to win here but them. They're sadly mistaken. They're not. Here's why he went to Tennessee. It was simple. They offered him the most money. That was it. They offered him the most money, and I think that's what it was. If you give DHop a little bit of benefit of the doubt, maybe he was waiting around on the Chiefs. Maybe he was waiting around on the Chris Jones contract extension. But as you said, there was no time limit, no timetable on this. He took 6 more weeks to decide if he wanted. But maybe, just maybe, Brett Veach and Andy Reid was finally got in contact with him or his agent. He said, look, this is going to be our max. We can't do what he got from Tennessee. Either come win with us or take the money. And he took the money over the winning, which is completely wrong. He also said he wanted a stable franchise. Tennessee's not a very stable franchise.
Not at all.
Ron Carthon just took over. They have very they're just not stable. I think he took Tennessee, too, because there's no state tax there. He gets more money out of the deal. It's all about money. But look at this one. I just want to bring this up really quick. That's not the right one. Let's go. The Titans are giving DeAndre Hopkins 2 years, $26 million with 32 up to incentives. So looking at this, it is $13 million a year with a possible extra $6 million incentives, so $3 million per season. A lot of Chiefs Kingdom, and this was in the echo chamber all day on Twitter, the Chiefs just were never going to offer that much money. The Chiefs were never going to offer it. They could never offer that. Is that true? Could we never offer that amount of money? Because I believe with the Chris Jones extension,
they could have.
You could have offered that the same way we have said this over and over.
Well,
you could have signed him to 2 years. You could have signed him to 3 years, and you could have made that money work with an out.
The same people that's been saying that the entire process, they were on the wavelength that he was going to want what Odell Beckham Jr. got.
Right. They were saying that he wanted 15, 16 million.
Right, which ended up being like $18 million for OBJ, which is a ridiculous and outright overpay by Baltimore. But the thing about it is even if you're looking at it from DeAndre's standpoint, you still didn't get the money that you wanted to get.
Right.
You didn't
even get OBJ's money.
You didn't even get money that Odell Beckham Jr. got coming off of 55 knee injuries, dude. So I mean, I don't know. I feel like if you're taking less money than you wanted to begin with, you would take the less money with the best outcome.
Does this help DeAndre's case now? Does he say, okay, I didn't take the best money. I took a place that I thought was a contender.
No, it doesn't.
I think it looks stupid.
We all know. I think the only thing that's going to save DeAndre Hopkins is if it comes out that the Chiefs didn't offer him anything. If the Chiefs offered him a halfway decent deal, if it was even close to that deal and he chose the Titans, then you know where his heart lies. It lies with the money. It wasn't with playing for a stable organization with a really good chance to win the Super Bowl, because neither of those things are true of Tennessee. And like I said, he just took a bunch of money to go be Derrick Henry's decoy. That's what we know. I think he just wanted to glide into retirement.
I mean, that's the sentiment. It looks as though DHop just took the money. He's taking the easy way.
He can do more fashion shows this way.
You're not really going to win in Tennessee, but at the same time, if it makes sense, DHop could make them better.
I don't think so. I just don't see it.
I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like, look, I'm not going to trash DHop. I wanted DHop here. We said from the beginning again, we thought it was a rare thing, but here over the last few weeks it had picked up enough steam. Steve, I was starting to get excited a little bit. I was starting to get excited. I wanted to get the DHop jersey. We were talking about switching the number 10. Was he going to take 0? It just felt like the cards were aligning. And then out of the blue on a Sunday morning, boom, we're taking the Titans. There had to be a conversation over the past few hours that was Brett Veach and his agents, and they said, look, we can't give you what you want. You either take the money or you take the Chiefs. And he chose the Titans and the money.
I'm inclined to say that they told him they weren't making him an offer.
So
like,
you
I really
just think the offer wasn't big enough. You just think they just didn't want to make it.
I'm trying to give DHop the benefit of the doubt here. I don't think he's stupid. And if the Chiefs offered him anything and he went to Tennessee, he's stupid. Because it literally, like I said, man, you have a Hall of Fame career and you want to sulk it in mediocrity. Like, you've had to play for crappy teams and crappy organizations and crappy quarterbacks your entire career.
Right.
And this was your shot. And you're like, no, you know what? I'm good here, down here in this hole. That's where I want to be. So this is where I want to ride out. I don't think that is what he thought. I don't think he was given an opportunity. I really don't. But, I mean, hey, this could come out. We were wrong about DHop coming to Kansas City. I could definitely be wrong about this. Maybe the Chiefs did offer him.
Right.
And he chose Tennessee for whatever reason. I don't get it. I really don't care, to be honest, because that's the next point I want to make here, Mike, is do we really care that much? Like, we were excited about having DHop, but at the same time, we've always said that if we don't get him, we don't really care. And it's funny because I woke up this morning, I found out about this, and I was like, man, that's really freaking confusing, but I don't really care. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't change anything for the Chiefs. I mean, we still have a highly competitive wide receiver room that runs deep. Like, it didn't change anything.
Look, this is great news. This is great news for the Justin Watsons and the Richie Jameses and the Justin Rosses. This even helps John Ross a little bit maybe. Now, he's not completely just out. He's got a little bit of a shot. Tiny, but it's there. This helps everybody on the Chiefs. We can just now focus now on who we have under contract going into camp. The rookies are reporting literally on the 18th. So by the time you're hearing this, tomorrow, they will be there. And then, Saturday, I think it is, everybody's in. We can finally get to going. I think what I was going to say is now that DHop is not here, does it hurt the Chiefs' chances at a Super Bowl? No. I think DHop helped them, but I don't think that he's not here, it hurts them.
Right.
Does this make the Titans any more of a Super Bowl contender?
No.
I would say they went from a 10% chance to an 11% chance.
Yeah, that was a point I was trying to make earlier. DHop actually did help Kansas City because of the way we operate, the way our offense is set up, the quarterback that we have.
He helped amazing quarterback.
He actually brought something to the table for Kansas City. What he brings to the table in Tennessee it pales in comparison.
Because with what you're trying to say with the Chiefs, it's a mutual. D-Hop's going to raise Mahomes. Mahomes is going to raise D-Hop. When he goes to Tennessee, what are they going to do? He may help raise Derrick Henry, but Ryan Tannehill's going to be Ryan Tannehill. That rookie quarterback, Will Levis, is going to be Will Levis.
The same way that
A.J.
A.J. Brown
is going to be ineffective.
The same way that A.J. Brown made Ryan Tannehill look more of a quarterback than he actually was is the same thing that D-Hop might be able to do for the Titans. But the thing about it is it hurts him more than it helps him because he's going to be chucking up 50-50 balls to D-Hop, and D-Hop comes down with these things, and then everybody's going to have the false sense of security that Ryan Tannehill's actually a good quarterback. And they're just going to keep in the same path they've been on. And they don't even believe that. There's no way you can believe that as an organization when the last two drafts you've drafted a quarterback early, once in the first round, once in the second round. That means you have no faith in your quarterback already. So what are you all even doing there? D-Hop really missed the mark here.
That's another thing that I think D-Hop should have looked at. How do you call yourself stable a franchise if you take a wide receiver in round one in Malik Willis, and then in the very next year you say, nope, we missed on that one. We're going to go ahead and take another one. Dude, it's chaos all the way around. Tennessee doesn't get better, but I tell you what, he did get a lot richer, and he don't have to pay taxes for it, Steve, and that's why he went there.
I don't blame him. Anything's better than playing with Kyler Murray in Arizona, so maybe that's just what he was thinking about.
True.
That time's yours.
Time's yours, Chiefs Kingdom. You guys comment on videos. You guys comment on everything. And then we display these comments. First up, Thomas Adams. He says, I doubt the Chiefs will be able to match the Titans' offer. They're desperate and have more money to splurge. It's quite obvious at this point D-Hop is after the money. I want to give you, Thomas, kudos, buddy. That's a good call. That's a good call. There's been a lot of people say
Cheers, Thomas.
It's not just like Thomas is the only guy. Cheers.
Right.
It's not like he's the only guy that said it. there's been a lot of people saying it, but a lot of people are saying it as in they just didn't want D-Hop. The Chiefs don't need him.
A facade? Is
yeah,
that how
a
you say that?
facade.
Hey, so, like, they all obviously wanted D-Hop. Yeah, there's no one in their right mind
You know
that was
what
like,
irritates me, though? It's
What?
not the guys that stuck up for D-Hop. It's not the guys that hated D-Hop. It was the guys that never even had a legit dog in the fight. And now today they're gloating like they said that something happened positive for them. And it's like, you never have an opinion on a subject.
right.
But now
you
you,
know what
get
I
to
think?
gloat.
You know one thing I think that's funny about Chiefs Twitter? Like, here they are, like, they wanted D-Hop. Whether they said it or not, they wanted him
Everybody
because
wanted D-Hop.
the idea of Patrick Mahomes with D-Hop was just out of control. So they wanted him. But then when D-Hop doesn't sign, what do? They're taking out all of their frustrations on Lance from the Spoken. Like, you said that D-Hop was
Right.
coming here, so they're just going to trash him all day long. That's their hobby. Good grief.
Lance probably, he's allowed to have that. Everybody's allowed to think we wanted D-Hop. I think everybody just has to take a step back and be like, is this going to be good in the end? You can gloat now, but what if we get to the end and Kadarius Toney can't stay healthy and Skyy Moore maybe tweaks his hamstring again and
MVS
Justin
never
Ross
shows up.
don't turn out and MVS don't show up, and then what? Everybody, we needed.
And you got Donovan Smith getting knocked on his ass
Right.
every play.
You never
Or
know.
yeah, it could
Do
be
I
bad,
think it's
man.
going to happen? All that to happen is probably a 0% chance, 0.1. But anything's possible. Never say never, and you can never have too much talent on a team, and that's what everybody's just wanting with D-Hop.
Truth.
He was talented. Moving on, Corich Gilpin. KT has amazing potential, and I hope he embraces it and hopes this trolling thing doesn't come back to haunt him. Steve, this is KT's wide receiver room now. He is officially Kadarius Toney, wide receiver 1, KT
Right.
1. How does that make you feel? I'm a little nervous about that, let's be honest.
The only thing that makes me nervous about it is me thinking that he will not play for small, stupid injuries. That's
Right.
it. Like, if this guy will stay on the field, I have no doubts he has the ability to be one of the best receivers in the entire league.
Exactly.
Everything that they thought Kadarius Toney could be coming out of Florida, he has the opportunity to be here with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes in this Kansas City Chiefs offense. He's got the best tight end in the league, which is essentially the best receiver in the league, taking eyes off of him. Everything's set for Kadarius Toney to come out here and excel this coming year and really flash and have his breakout year and let everybody know who Kadarius Toney is. But it's all up to him, man. Are
Right.
you going to be assists? You're going to be on the sideline half the year because
Right.
your hamstring's sore? Or are you going to get out there, you're going to play, and you're going to prove what you can do?
Look, Kadarius Toney as a wide receiver 1 on this team, barring serious injury that he can't control. But this nitpicky stuff here and there every time, taking a week off,
Right.
you get 2 weeks, you get 3 weeks. If you start hitting that 4-week mark, if you miss over 4 weeks, you didn't pull through. You didn't do it. You've got to be tougher. You got to play more. Moving along, Jared Williams says, I think Skyy Moore is going to be a beast. Skyy Moore benefits from this, Steve. Skyy Moore benefits. But I do believe Skyy Moore would have benefited a lot more from D-Hop being on the team.
Absolutely. That's what people don't understand. But the thing about it is, Skyy Moore, I think he's the guy that's going to surprise the most people. Like, I'm telling you, he's going to have a good year. There's going to be some big plays with Skyy Moore's name written on it. I promise you're going to see that this year.
Yeah, I think so.
And I didn't promise D-Hop signing. Don't get me wrong. I didn't promise that. I said it
Hey,
was likely.
You were
But-
out here saying, I was right. He's waiting on the Chiefs.
Hey.
He's going to sign.
You know,
it's okay.
in a real world,
Let's
that's
get that-
probably
we'll
what
get
should have
the
been
A.
happening. But let
You're
me wipe
right.
it off because
Let's
we're in
get it
clown
off.
world. We're in clown world where
We're
people want to
clown world.
sign and play with Ryan Tannehill. But either way, Skyy Moore, a lot of people think that he didn't have a good rookie year or he didn't, establish himself in this offense and he had every opportunity in the world.
Right.
That couldn't be further from the truth. Like, we all know that Andy Reid don't utilize those rookie wide receivers. He didn't utilize Skyy Moore that much last year. Like you've said before, Dave Tope being stubborn, making him catch punts that he don't normally do was the
Right.
way they were trying to put the ball in his hands. I think this year they're forced to use him. They have to use him. He's going to take over that juju role. He's going to catch a lot of passes, and he's going to create a lot of yak. And people's going to be very surprised, and I can't wait to see it. I want him to have a breakout year, and I want him to prove to everybody, hey, they made the right decision with me and not taking George Pickens.
Yeah, 100%. Matt says getting Houston back for a farewell chip would be sick. He's referring to Justin Houston possibly
Yes, sir.
signing back with the Chiefs to make a Super Bowl run because we need that veteran defensive line help. Steve, is this really a possibility? I really don't see him getting any more offers except for maybe the Ravens again, sadly.
I mean, it's a possibility. It just depends if the Chiefs want to play ball or if Justin Houston wants to play ball. Like, a lot of people think there was some bad blood there when he left last time. There very well could have been. But I don't think anything's set in stone. I don't think anybody knows that for sure other than the Chiefs organization and Justin Houston. If there's not, him returning to KC to finish out his career, possibly win a ring, he's still playing at a high level. He had like 12 sacks last year. I mean, he's still in the double-digit sacks. This is a guy that can come in and fill in that defensive end role that Carlos Dunlap filled last year, Melvin Ingram before that, and Terrell Suggs before that. Justin Houston would be the perfect person to come in and fill that role and be a mentor for those young guys on the defensive line. How great would it be to see Felix Anudike-Uzomah learning from Justin Houston?
So, okay, Justin Houston possibly. That's a possibility. I think it takes a lot of work to get Justin Houston in here. There's got to be a lot of compromise from each side.
Right.
Maybe a few people have to apologize because there was some bad blood there, a lot of people think. Since you save money with DHop now, if Chris Jones does get extended, do you see them throwing any money at a Yannick Ngakoue or somebody like that? That could be a rotational guy if Carlos Dunlap decides he doesn't want to come back.
I don't see the point. I really don't. I don't think we need him. Ngakoue is just a liability in the run game. That's all he is.
Yeah, true.
That's why he can't do anything. Nobody wants him. That's why he's top teams. He's never lived up to the potential that he had. And I don't think there's a place for somebody like that on the Chiefs. I think we have a lot of good young guys, especially at that defensive end position. I think that we need that one veteran that can come in and really lead this team. Frank Clark kind of took over that role last year, mentoring George Karlaftis. Carlos Dunlap did the same thing. We don't have that on the roster right now. I think the most likely is Carlos Dunlap decides he's going to play one more year. But if he decides to ride off into the sunset with his Super Bowl ring, which is what I would do if I was him, they're going to have to look elsewhere. And right now, I think Justin Houston is the best option.
Okay. Maybe he'll end up in Tennessee. They're a Super Bowl contender all of a sudden now. Okay. Angry Drunken German. Willie is a freak athlete, but he's never put it all together. He's an average player right now and might never reach the full potential his athleticism would allow. This is referring to Willie Gay being kind of on the hot seat, having a little pressure this year to perform. Right. Steve, Angry Drunken German says that he don't think he's a very good player. He's very average. He can't get it together. He don't think he will get it together. Hey. Do you think that, or do you think Willie Gay will have a good year this year? I think a lot of people are very split on that.
I think Willie Gay had a decent year last season, and I think he'll have a good year this year. But Angry Drunken German is not wrong. Like, no, Willie Gay has not lived up to his potential whatsoever. We know that his athleticism is off the charts. He almost hit a 10 on the RAS score. He can get from sideline to sideline. He can make plays. He can cover. There's so much potential for Willie Gay. Like, the ceiling's so high, and pretty much all we've dealt with is injuries. And on top of that, just kind of good play. I would say he's been good, but he's not been great. And I think that he has to come out and show some greatness for the Chiefs to want to invest in him longer than they already have.
Yeah, I think so too. Jeff Moore decided to take a little drive through Chiefs training camp at MWSU today. I'm only about 2 blocks away, so why not? Everything is set up and ready to go, and I'm pumped for this year. It's almost here, folks. It's almost here. Football. Just thought I'd give an update for that ass. Jeff Moore, we appreciate the update. And as we mentioned, when you guys are hearing this, rookies quarterback is going to be there on the 18th.
Yes,
All
sir.
veterans will report next Saturday. Steve, I'm excited to get there. We still have a lot of stuff. We're going to talk about that more in just a minute. We've got a lot of camp battles going. We've got a lot of players that are needing to prove something. Now that DHop's not here, I think it opens a lot of doors for wide receiver, possibly even opens up to that 7th wide receiver position being a possibility now because you don't have that reliable number 1. We'll have to talk about all that in a minute. Nicholas King says, I've been watching you guys for about a month now. Thanks, Nicholas. We appreciate you. He says, and you guys from the first video are absolutely great. The vibe is good. You say the real stuff that all mainstream people are too scared to say it. I love it. You guys have made a new fan. Can't wait to see DHop in the red and gold. Have a good night. No DHop in the red and gold, but we appreciate the sentiment, Nicholas. And dude, we're not always going to be right. We're not always going to be right, but we do fight for a little bit of respect when we are right, because a lot of people will mimic what we say months later and claim it.
It doesn't matter. I mean, last year we called Juju. This year we missed on DHop. It'll be the same. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
it all rides the same. But hey, thanks for watching, man. We appreciate you, and we're glad you found us.
Yeah, appreciate you. We got one more here. DeAndre Hopkins to the Chiefs is close, 100. The wait is almost over. The wait was almost over. Who wrote this, by the way? Was this All Chiefed Up? This is Mike and Steve from All Chiefed Up.
It is.
Yeah, so we wrote this. We were half right. If you look over in the thing, it says he's ready on the thumbnail. He was ready. He was ready to choose the Titans randomly.
Yes, sir.
And we got half the title. The wait is almost over.
He was ready for retirement, bro. That's what he was ready for.
The wait is almost over. We were 2 days off, so, right there with it. But I will say, man, these two clowns missed on this one, and so
yeah, I think they deserve something.
I think they need something, so I'm just going to go ahead and alley-oop.
Alley-oop, and boom, shakalaka.
We got ourselves. We deserve that, but I tell you what, man, wanting DHop, needing DHop, two different things. We've always said it was a luxury. I'm kind of sad he's not in Kansas City. I wanted to see it with Mahomes. I wanted to see what our offense would look like, but it is what it is.
I also want $1 million, bro, but I don't have that. But we're fine. We're fine.
We're fine. We're going to get through it. Chiefs Wire come out with a new story. The 9 Chiefs players who need a strong training camp. As we said, rookies, quarterbacks, they're going to be there on the 18th. Everybody else on Saturday. Let's see who their 9 players are, Steve. Let's talk about these 9 players. Number 1, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Most fans have written off Clyde with the emergence of Pacheco and McKinnon. While he's probably safer than most will give him credit for, he still needs to have a strong training camp. Anything less than a standout training camp could spell disaster for the former first-round pick. I think we're all in agreement, Steve. Clyde Edwards-Helaire needs a strong training camp, but I honestly don't think he's under any pressure to be cut or not. I just think a strong training camp maybe opens the door for some trade rumors. Maybe he can go somewhere that they'll use him more.
Right. I think that the only people that the only fire that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is under, it's not from anyone in the Chiefs organization. It's from the fans.
Yeah, it's the fans.
It's definitely the fans. I think that Clyde will have a decent camp. To me, he doesn't have to stick out. He doesn't have to have some amazing camp. I think Clyde's still going to get his chances, man.
Clyde just needs to stay healthy.
Exactly. That's it. We know if he's healthy and he's available, Andy Reid will put the ball in his hands over and over again.
Yep.
He always does. He always has, and it won't be any different this year. And I think Clyde will perform at a high level this year because, hey, man, somebody's got to pay this fella. He's getting out of his rookie contract. It's his time to make some money in this league. And right now, he's not set up for that very well. And I think he knows he's probably not going to be a Chief after this year. And he knows he's got to go somewhere. So he's got to ball out, man, so he can get a good contract from somebody.
Yeah, I don't think Clyde needs a great camp. I think Clyde needs to be healthy for camp. And that's about the extent of that one. Willie Gay Jr., here's another one. We just spoke about Willie a few minutes ago. But it says he's under some pressure heading into it. Suddenly there are a lot of cooks in the kitchen in the position group and not exactly a lot of snaps to go around. Willie Gay is in a contract year, and he has missed the early goings of the season due to either injury or suspension in each of the last 2 years. Steve, does Willie Gay need a good camp? It's not like he's not in any danger of being cut,
right?
For example, but I think Willie Gay needs a strong season. We can't just stop it with camp.
I feel like saying these guys need a strong camp's just kind of weird. Like they need a really good season.
These are guys on the cut line, I feel.
A strong camp is leading up to a good season. But we pull that back up for 1 second.
Yeah.
Because I just have to say, I absolutely freaking hate those pads on their helmets. It looks dumb. It's so stupid. It reminds me like the little things in Mario that you jump on, and then they have the shell.
Mushrooms?
You know what I'm talking about? I don't know. No.
The little shell guys, the turtles.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. I think they look stupid. I understand they prevent some head injuries and all, but good grief, man. I can't look at it anymore. But Willie Gay, you need a good season, and a good start to a good season is going to be a good camp, so I'll agree with that one.
Okay. Justin Ross, I think we're all in agreement here. Justin Ross is on that cut line, but I think without DHop, now that DHop's not here, even though we thought with DHop he would still have a better chance to make it.
Yeah.
But I think Ross...
It's got harder for him.
But maybe this is open to number 7 spot. Who knows? But he says no player has more hype this offseason, but Ross needs to keep the hype train rolling once the pads come on. Carving out a significant role in offense or special teams will be key to his ability to make the 53-man roster come September. Steve, Justin Ross is not going to be a special teams contributor. If I see one more person say that he is going to be a gunner, I'm absolutely going to lose my mind.
Look,
because he was a gunner. He lined up in rookie camp as a gunner.
I understand. They don't have pads
zero
on.
Contact.
You're right. That's what I'm saying. If the Kansas City Chiefs with full contact, full pads, line up Justin Ross as a gunner, they hate that guy. They hate him, and they want to see him paralyzed somewhere.
Right.
Because,
I mean,
we all know his injury history. We know what's going on there. That is absolutely a no-go. Absolutely insane for anybody to think they're actually going to do that. And if they do, I think they're insane. That's just all there is to it. I think Justin Ross is the first person on this list that makes sense, that has to have a good camp. Because the other two, I think they're safely going to be on the team, and they have an opportunity to have a good season.
Ross is just firmly on the cut line. Justin
Ross has to show out in camp. He has to make the team. As opposed to Clyde and Willie Gay, Justin Ross has to make this team. He has to go out there and prove to them that he deserves to be on that 53-man roster. And when we're looking at a wide receiver room that's so filled with talent, man, it's going to be rough for him. And he's got to go ball out, bro.
I think he's on. I think if he comes out and he has a solid camp, he don't even have to have a spectacular camp. I believe he's got to outperform John Ross. That's the only one he's technically going to have to beat.
Is that true, though? What if they only take 6 receivers? If they only take 6 receivers, man, he's got to perform better.
Not here. I think now that DHop's not here, the wide receiver room is too iffy, and I think you have to take 7. I think this is the first year.
I would agree with that, but what if they don't? And if they don't, then you're looking at Justin Ross. He's got to shine brighter than Richie James. He's got to shine brighter than Justin Watson. He's got to make them want him on this roster.
I think if he beats out anybody, it's going to be Watson or Richie James. That's going to be the 2. I think John Ross. People get mad at us because we don't give John Ross any.
He's a non-factor to me. I don't think he'll make the squad.
Right. I think John Ross should be on this list. Like, he's not. Spoiler alert. Next one up, Richie James. He puts Richie James on it.
For the same reasons.
Yes, with over a dozen wide receivers on the 90-man roster, it feels like James is an unknown commodity. Showing rapport, I'll get it out in a minute, with the Patrick Mahomes will be crucial, as will securing a spot on a special teams jack of all trades. Richie James does offer special teams here. This is where he's one up on Justin Ross. Richie James, I think, was also signed as a little bit of a, DHop fallback kind of thing in case you didn't get DHop. Well, the time's here. DHop didn't come. I think Richie James, I think signing Justin Watson was that too. I think these are all fallback plans. Does it feel like we're in the season of just Brett Veach plan B fallbacks? Like, this is what I feel.
Well, I know that Brett Veach and everyone made light of it at the Super Bowl parade, but in all honesty, the Chiefs were in a rebuild mode last year. They actually were in rebuild. We really
were. I believe that.
100%. And we are still in rebuild mode. It's no different. It just is what it is, man. But Richie James falls in the same category as Justin Ross. Any of these receivers, if they have any more listed that are receivers, you don't even have to bring it up because it's all the same thing. Well, you got so many spots, you got this much talent. Now you got to fit the square peg into the round hole. That's what you got to do. And Andy Reid's got to make the right call there.
Kadarius Toney's 1, MVS, Skyy Moore, Rasheed Rice. That's your 4 locks. That's the only 4
100%.
locks on this team. Justin Watson could be a 5th lock because of the way they like him and the contract. But at the same time, we discovered yesterday he only costs 1.5 dead cap.
I think unless somebody just absolutely goes off the chain and makes you pay attention, like a Nico Remigio or Jerry Neely or somebody like that, or a Smith Marset, if one of them make you pay attention, that's okay. But otherwise, I feel like you should just take 7 receivers and keep the 4 you just mentioned and go ahead and take James, Watson, and Ross and just call it a day.
Yeah, just call it a day. I think that's the easiest way to do it. Next one up, Shane Buechele. Basically, if he doesn't, it might draw some questions about his future if he doesn't come in and look better than Blaine Gabbert. I think the Chiefs, now that with the new rules, you've got to take 3.
Right.
I think Shane Buechele's on the team. As his future going forward, I think he's always, if he wants to get out of Kansas City and go be a starter somewhere else, maybe so. But he's always going to be a Patrick Mahomes backup, I believe.
Right.
And I think he will last here longer than Blaine Gabbert, obviously.
Right. I think the only reason Blaine Gabbert came in is because they want the experience. They want that person that can give you that one drive like Chad Henne gave us in the Jacksonville Jaguars game last year. They want somebody to come in, right the ship, and they know what's going to happen. I don't think they have that faith in Shane Buechele yet, or that trust, but he'll get there, and he'll eventually be the number 2.
Right. Malik Herring next up on the list. A former undrafted free agent in 2021, Herring appeared in just 7 games for the Chiefs last season. He recorded 6 tackles and a fumble recovery during that span. With the addition of the defensive line this offseason, Herring will need to have a strong training camp and prove that he's made progress within the defensive system to this point. Steve, that makes sense, But I just don't think Malik Herring is ever going to be that guy in Kansas City.
I don't
think
either.
this is the year they can probably cut him and Kando.
Absolutely. It's just two guys that never really hit the mark, right? I mean,
but again, a strong training camp. Malik Herring, we said he's got to have a really strong training camp.
He had a really strong training camp last year, so much that everybody was talking about it. And Malik Herring's going to make the team. He didn't make it last year with a strong training camp. I don't think he makes it this year with a strong training camp. I think that him and Kando they got one foot out the door already. They've just never lived.
Did make the team last year, by the way.
Did he really? He made the 53.
He made the 53, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, well, I'll eat my words there. But either way, Joshua Kando is the one that I really want to take a look at here.
Yeah, Kando's out, though.
This guy has got to be out. And the thing about it is he's never even had camp hype. He's never had no hype. Like, no one cares.
What does Kando have to do in camp to make this team? Does he have to get like 20 sacks in the 3 preseason
He's going to have to create a hostage situation to stay here.
Probably right. Moving on, Danny Shelton, defensive tackle. When the Chiefs signed
Look
Shelton,
at that fat Koopa Troopa.
Look at this guy. It says when they signed him a season ago, fans were expecting a 2-down contributor. He got one call-up to the 53-man roster in Week 14, which marked the first time the former first-round pick played since 2021. I don't see Danny Shelton making this team. He didn't make it, I just don't see it. He's not performed well since he's been in the league. He is a space eater, but he's not the Mike Pennell. He's not that guy that's going to come in and
they
do
felt it necessary to go out and get Big Baby last year, Brandon Williams, after we already had Danny Shelton.
Right,
which
and they re-signed Noddy back this year for a year.
Right.
I just don't
so,
see it.
they've not shown anything that makes me think they have faith in Danny Shelton, so I'm going to go ahead and agree with you here. I don't think he makes the squad.
No, and Keandre Coburn, I think that pretty much seals Shelton's deal. Shelton would have to have a monstrous camp. So, I guess these guys are right. They got to have a good camp. Deion Bush, lastly. Bush could find himself in trouble without a standout performance in training camp. This is legit. Najee Johnson and Bush are firmly fighting over that number 4 spot. We did take 4 safeties last year. Presumably, we'll do it again this year. Maybe not. Maybe they only take 3 this year, though, if they take 7 wide, and that still frees up another roster spot somewhere along the line, because you do have Snead can play safety, Jamari Connor can play safety, and then you've also got Najee Johnson that can make the squad over him, that can go back and forth with the DB. I think there's I think the DBs and the safeties, a lot of questions that's got to be answered in training camp. And to be honest, the linebacker room, 4 good linebackers, but we have 6 to 7 good linebackers. And it's like, what do we need? It's all going to come down to the special teams row. I don't know, we'll talk about him in a minute, but even Nick Jones, that's a guy that we don't really know about. I think a lot of guys, but I think they did a good job of picking 9. But to be honest, a few of them were kind of wasted, because I don't think Clyde and Willie Gay need to be on this list at all. I don't see that being a possibility.
Absolutely not. But what a beautiful problem to have in Kansas City. Like, you can be bummed out that they didn't sign DeAndre Hopkins.
Right.
But you have to love where we're sitting at. We're coming off of a Super Bowl win. We're still the best roster in football, and we're stronger than we were last year. And we're literally all pumped to see how these position battles are going to go, because we have so much talent crammed on this team. So I'm excited, and I think everybody should be.
Exactly. Last story of the day, Arrowhead Addict comes out and says, is Nick Jones the next gem at the cornerback for the Kansas City Chiefs? Will Nick Jones break through in a crowded young secondary? I just said we talk about Nick Jones. Here it is. Steve, is Nick Jones going to make this roster? Because the more and more I look at it, I honestly feel like Nick Jones needed to be on that list. Nick Jones has to stand out in the 3 preseason games. Nick Jones has to stand out during camp. Or Nick Jones may end up on the practice squad just like 7th-round pick Najee Johnson did last year. So I think Jones should have been on that. And I've been a firm believer that I think Nick Jones could do it. I think he's got all the talent. He's long, but he's not very speedy. He's always got the offsetting. He's a ball hawk guy, but his hands aren't the best. There's little things here and there. So I think Nick Jones is firmly on that practice squad 53-man. And right now, sadly, I have to lean – I think that Nick Jones is probably going to end up on the practice squad, and that has changed a lot in the past 2 weeks, because 2 weeks ago I thought Nick Jones was on the roster.
Well, right. It just kind of depends on how things play out. What if they were to come out and, announce a trade where they get rid of L'Jarius Sneed because he's on the last year of his contract and they're not going to pay him, or something like that? Things can still happen. That's just all there is to it. If it sits the way it sits, then I'm with you. I think he goes to the practice squad, just like Najee Johnson did last year.
Right.
But things are going to have to move around a little bit. But it's going to be interesting to watch it play out. The cornerback room is kind of like the receiver room on the defensive side of the ball.
Right.
It's just loaded with talent.
And these guys, again, we say this over and over, they don't have to just beat their own position. When you're fighting for that 53rd spot, you're fighting wide receivers. You're fighting everybody. Everybody's
Right.
fighting for the one spot. Nick Jones, special teams guy. Justin Ross on the cut line, not a special teams guy. Would you take Nick Jones? At the same time, if you put Justin Ross on the practice squad, he's going to get poached probably at a better rate than you would get
Right.
Nick Jones poached at. So all this has to be made, all decisions. It's all coming down to training camp, Steve. It does start here this week. Super excited about that, but that's going to wrap it up for today. So whatever you're listening to, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. Tell your friends where to watch the Best Chiefs podcast, Steve. And if you're on YouTube, which you are, thanks for subscribing and hitting that bell. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
There goes a sight from my soul.